Good morning, you with Jade here, 91.1 Hot FM, Hot Property. I've been talking all things real estate and property in here this morning. Mel Cayley from Optawise hanging out with me this morning, and we've brought in a friend. Welcome, Paul from Broker Co.
G'day, Mel. Hey, Jay.
Hey. You know what? Your timing's really good. We've been talking, obviously, all things rates, haven't we, Mel?
Yes, we have.
We have. We love it. Of course, you know, towards the end of this month, RBA going to meet, which kind of prompts me to ask you about all the different banks that are around at the moment. Now, I know this sounds really weird, but I feel like in the last few years, there's more than just the big four hanging around. What's happened there?
We've got, there's plenty of lenders to choose from these days. I think currently we're approaching about 60 different lenders. So depending on what your situation is, we can tailor a solution to whatever your needs are.
So does that make your job harder or easier?
The answer is yes, is it?
Both questions.
Okay. Because I guess, you know, and for people who might have had a loan for a really long time, been loyal to the same bank, and a lot of people fall into that, you know, you get comfortable, you know your bank, you know the app, you just stay there. People are looking around now, especially with the rates on the move, up or down, whatever might happen. People are looking to refinance, consider other banks. There's more opportunity now, I'm guessing, with all of these different banks. Talk to me about how that's good for someone looking to refinance.
Yeah, it is good. Given that we're in an environment now of peak rates, what that means is affordability, servicing that loan is less than what it would have been if rates were 2 years ago. So there's a few different things that we can do in relation to lending policy, and I think one that comes to mind is normally you'd be paying when you apply for a loan, you have a buffer of, say, 3.5% on top of the rate that you get to service that loan. Some lenders will offer that, reduce that buffer down to 2%, which allows you to pull
more cash
to get your deal over the line.
See, that's why you need a good broker. Because if you guys are sitting there going, well, we've got up to 50 or 60 lenders and we know who will do what, and that, because it's a bit of a matchmaking process for you guys, isn't it? When someone sits down and says, here's my situation, you got to kind of, you're like a Cupid.
Pretty much. So depending on what the income type, the amount of money that's in the deal, like equity or cash, and even the lending policy, depending on your employment. You may be self-employed for a year. Most banks won't even look at that. We do have some that will.
Yeah, so you need to know, see, it's all about getting the right team, isn't it?
Many moons ago, we had 100 brokers working for us, right? And the difference between the individuals, and we see it every day in the investor property business, we talk about how each property will either enable or limit what you do next. It's the same with the funding structure, and sometimes the way that a broker can communicate with a lender is the difference between a person getting a loan with that lender or not.
It's so good that we've got all these different banks too to choose from now. I think it's making it a lot easier, giving us, I guess, a bit more option, I would say.
Yeah, it hasn't always been that way, Jade. In 2017, I did an article and a bit of a story about how banking had changed forever because Prime Minister at the time, Malcolm Turnbull, allowed other lenders, rather than just the big four, ability to essentially buy money in a different way. And what that did was, because the big four were too big to fail, it started the process of creating competition in lending. And so today, I think it's like 3 times the amount of lenders. Back then, brokers would have access to maybe 30, whereas Paul's talking about accredited of 50 or 60, but there could be 100 or more lenders out there, and all the private lending, there's just so many more options out there. It's pretty hard to navigate by yourself at the best of times, but you know, for the most part, that's why people need someone like Paul, because there is so much opportunity and so much competition. You've just got to ask the question.
I love it. And that's why we unpack everything property here on a Saturday morning. Thanks so much for joining us, Paul and Mel from Optawise.
Thanks, Jay.
Thanks, Jade.